Record.
How y'all doing, you guys? We're out here on our week 3 of our Black History Month podcast. Okay, you guys, we have some special guests with us today. We also have our new team member with us, Miss Sequoia, and we also have my great future alumni. He's going to West Virginia Western College right now, but he's a smart, motivated young brother from the Pittsburgh area, and I'm so excited to have them both on. How y'all doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good, good, good. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so y'all, this is week 3, and during this week, we're gonna it's like an intervention. Okay, we're gonna talk about our role in fixing the problem. Okay, so we have to understand what we're looking at, who we are. All right, so let's dive in. So I'm gonna start with this subtopic, and we're gonna discuss from there. All right, we have to look in the mirror as a people, evaluating our lives and community. Excuse me. For example, in Southeast DC, there's at least been one killing per day since pandemic. So, Khalil, let me ask you something. How do you see that issue? Like, what do you think that causes the issue about it? What do you think that causes the that whole retrospect of what's going on in our communities today?
I think number one, a big thing like why like killings and stuff happen is miscommunication. Like we don't communicate enough, and what that just causes like internal beef or like you have a problem with somebody and they don't know what the problem is, and instead of trying to hash it out by talking first, you go straight to violence, and that violence is not just affecting you; it's affecting their family members as well. So if you're imbalanced, then that you're basically putting your family inside of that balance too. So you're not the only one that's involved in it, it's your whole family then. So I really think it's a communication issue. And if we start talking more and try to understand where somebody is coming from first before leading to the violence, that could limit a lot of things.
Ooh, excuse me. So, what you said was perfect, bro, and that's something we always preach all the time because a lot of times, especially people our age, don't know how to talk to each other. We can text, we can put on Snapchat, whatever have you, but we don't have the capabilities of actually talking. And if we realize that, hey, we can talk a lot of our problems out, and a lot of stuff is beef, a lot of stuff is bull crap. Prime example, I'm sharing this story. I know you probably have a story too. Yesterday or day before, yesterday, or yesterday evening, or yesterday early morning, whatever it was, what my mom's girlfriend's daughter, who's 21 years old, was sitting in front of her own house, and somebody sprayed up the car. Now, she's out of surgery. It was her friend, and she was in there with her friend and somebody else. But the whole idea of somebody actually just doing that, like in front of first, she was in her house, in her driveway, whatever have you. So it had to be somebody she knew, right? You just don't do that with somebody, random people. But that example right there is a sad one, and I'm still praying for both of them for recovery. But it's unfortunately it's just for some beef. And so, Khalil, I want to ask you, like, like you said, communication is that the only thing we need just to be able to communicate, or do you think it's like a layer effect? If you think of it's like peeling onion or something like that.
I think there is layers to it. Like, for example, like if you seen when you're growing up and you seen somebody that you know or that you look up to that was leading into that, like that was into the beef, into the violence, you're more likely to become accustomed to being okay with being into the violence and stuff too. So if you never had the opportunity to step outside of your comfort zone and see something new and see like it's okay to be like to talk to somebody about your problems, then you won't know how to hash it out but the way that you were taught or the way that you saw it. And like when you're growing up, the biggest thing like that you how you learn is by seeing stuff. Like because at first you cannot talk when you're a baby. You see stuff and you learn how to do it. So when you're growing older and you don't ask questions, you just see and act on what you see, then that can then become why you tend to go towards violence instead of talking. If no one taught you that it's okay to talk and express your feelings to another person, whether that be man or female, then that's when stuff gets like iffy.
Misconstrued, right? And that's a wow. It just everything you said, I agree with. It's wow. you like you hit on there with all that stuff, man, and it goes back to us finally realizing that if, and this I'm jumping ahead of this, but if we want change, then the change is within us to actually be different and do something that's going to make life better for all of us. So I'm with you all the way with that one. All right, so let's dive in a little more. Let's dive in a little more. All right, what does Black Lives Matter mean to you? And this two-part question: do you believe people like saying it and posting it on a T-shirt, or do they really mean it?
Right. So for me personally, like the Black Lives Matter is like a big thing to me because like some people don't really understand like what the black community has to go through on a daily, or you don't understand what it's like being black. So the Black Lives Matter movement was really an eye-opening experience, like to see, especially on TV and stuff like that, because before it was never portrayed as anything like that. And so seeing that is actually like having the world understand like the black community goes through these struggles on an everyday, but y'all don't see it unless y'all only see the bad parts. Y'all only the media only portrays the bad parts of the black community, only the killings, only when someone goes to jail, or they are only athletes. They don't post any like community events or anything like that. So
Right.
like the Black Lives Matter thing was a big thing to me. And I believe I don't know, it's sad to say this, but I do believe that some people don't like really respect the Black Lives Matter movement. They just like to be a part of a trend. You know, when stuff is trending, everyone wants to hop on a wave. So like when something's like in there and they don't have nothing else to do, they just hop on the wave. But some people do, you know, live up to the Black Lives Matter thing. But that's just how I feel on it.
No, I'm with you all the way. Some I feel like a lot of times people like to say it. They like to be in a shirt. They like to have a shirt on it, have a shirt, have a T-shirt. They like to do all that stuff, but they don't like to actually get involved. They don't want to be the change. They don't want to learn. They don't want to grow. They don't want to say, okay, I'm doing something wrong too. You know, for Black Lives Matter, yes, we can have reform. Yes, we can have legislation that can change things, judicial proceedings that can be overturned, whatever have you, policy overlook, whatever have you. But nothing's going to change unless we say to ourselves, okay, we got to stop killing each other. We got to learn how to communicate. We got to learn that everything doesn't need to be solved in violence, you know, and that goes back to slave mentality. That goes back to us saying, okay, who can impress master better? That's true. You know, so it's the whole breakdown of past stigmas against our community that still haunts us today. You know, even if I dive deeper, going into hell, going into the crack epidemic, there's some states and cities still haven't made their way out of yet, like Baltimore. You know, Baltimore City. You know, Baltimore City's still fighting that epidemic. You can tell by the infrastructure. You can tell by the school system out there. It's a whole dynamic that is really hurting the community at all. What's up, Jamisha?
Hey, hey.
You ready to dive in real quick? I got a question for you,
You want me to turn my video on?
if you can.
Okay.
So here's my question for you.
All right.
What does Black Lives Matter mean to you? All right, now hold on, I got more. I got more. I got more. And
Okay.
part two, do people just like saying it and put it on a T-shirt, or do they actually mean it?
But what Black Lives Matter means to me is that we're not above, we're not below. We're equal to everyone and we deserve to be treated equally. We're not superior and we're not inferior to anyone. We're equal to everyone. As far as people putting it on a t-shirt, I feel like, me personally, I believe that it's like half and half. Like you have some people who jump into those types of loops just because that's what everybody else is doing. And then you have people who lost family members to police brutality. You have like Sandra Bland, for example. You have people who have lost family members, brothers, sisters, uncles. You have people who lost family members to this stuff. So when they put it on a t-shirt, they really mean it. But you do have those people who just, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
who
just
just
like to say it.
wants to follow the crowd.
Do you think people? Do you think people won't? Do you think some people just don't understand until it happens to them?
That's true. I mean, that's how it is in most cases. You don't fully understand the magnitude behind the situation until you experience it for yourself. You can say that you understand, because you witnessed it. But until you experience it personally, you'll never fully have that understanding of how it is and how it feels.
Right. I feel that. And then Khalil, going back to you, going to Jameis, you turn your camera off if you need to, whatever. I
Okay.
appreciate it. Khalil, going back to you, I know how it is. I don't know. You're a freshman, right? Or a sophomore?
Sophomore, I'm a sophomore.
A sophomore. Okay, so you been there for 2 years already.
Yeah,
What's your
like
so
well, like a year and a half because of the pandemic and stuff.
right, yeah. So um, I know how it is to walk in the classroom. You're the only black person in the classroom, and to have sometimes not saying wasn't teachers. The teachers are great. Not like anybody's overly like. I don't want to say nobody's racist. I don't want to say that they're not. There are a lot of good people out there. West Virginia, of course you got your pockets of people, but the Buchanan city is a great city. That's not it's small, whatever have you, but it's a great city. But the thing I dealt with, and something you probably dealt with too, is like walking in the classroom, walking in that environment, and not being felt like it's some cohesion, not you know felt like sometimes you're being left out of some things. It's a different feeling as a African American, especially coming from a metropolitan area like we both come from, until we're going into a place where they look at you like, who the hell are you? You know what I'm saying? So have you ever experienced something like that, or just have that feeling of like, whoa, like this is different. This is like, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Like walking into class, I'm usually like one of the only black males in there. So like, that's always a little bit uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, like it's going to better you as a person as well. Like you could learn something from those people and they can learn something from you as
Absolutely.
well. So like walking into an empty room and you don't know anybody, that's probably the best thing that you could do because you have a chance to make so many connections off of people and off what they know. And just because y'all come from different backgrounds doesn't mean like y'all can't have something in common. We all going to school. We're all here to get a degree, but you might be able to help me with something. And I might be able to help you with something based off our different experiences, though. So I think it has its positive and its negative. Like, of course, I would love to walk into my class and see like all black people. You know what I mean? But like, I'm comfortable with that. If I was
Right.
comfortable with everything I would do, I would never be able to step outside my comfort zone and experience new things. So being uncomfortable, like, is actually making it better at the end of the day.
My coach used to say you gotta be comfortable being uncomfortable sometimes. And I think that's true. And a lot of times, one thing I always hear people say is that, you know, they don't like white people. Black people say they don't like white people, especially in like metropolitan areas. I hear all the time. Maybe my own friends say, Chris, you got so many white friends. What's wrong with you? And how I take that is like, okay, I can understand the historical content, whatever had you behind it. But like you said, there's some commonality between everybody. It's more than just me looking and seeing your face and seeing your color. It's more so, okay, maybe this person likes the same music I do. Cause the people out there, they like the stuff we like. They they like to have fun, like do something different, maybe do something a little differently than you do, but it's the same function, the same idea. So it's something that is, I think sometimes that as a community, it doesn't hold us back because I'm all with circling the black dollar, so getting our people together, all that stuff. But like I also understand too that this isn't a black versus white thing. Where that fight was fought back Martin Luther King. No, that fight was back then. This fight we're in right now is about the equality, is about getting equity in the communities. It's about really educating people to understand that we need we need to communicate. We need to have those resources in place to help people. Especially. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and I also think like just sometimes like people from different cultures just want to get an understanding of your culture, you know what I mean? Because if they were never exposed to it, how are they supposed to understand what you feel or understand what you're trying to get your point across, but they never felt it, you know what I'm saying? So until
Right.
you like bring them in to see what you're actually talking about and like to experience what you actually mean, then that's when you can start having a common ground, you know what I mean? So some people, it's not always about, oh, they're trying to be in your business, they're just trying to get an understanding of where you're coming from. But if
Mm-hmm.
you take it as like you're being attacked, then like that's when the communication part comes into play again. So it's all about communication.
All about communication. Hold on, I think his thing froze up
too.
a little bit. You back? There you go.
Yeah, so I just think like trying to get an understanding is a big thing too.
Okay. No, I'm with that all the way. I'm with that. All right, you ready? How can we change as a people, Khalil?
As a people, like as a black community, you asking?
Yeah, let's start with that. Because one thing we always say that our 10 says that, okay, we're with everybody changing, but we got to worry about our community first and then work outwards. So,
Yeah.
how can we start the change? Of course, like I said earlier, there needs to be government backing, there needs to be policy overturn, need to be reform, need to be all that stuff. But besides that, how can we change as a people?
I think the first thing like that will really help is like, well, I know in my community, like we don't do any community events, like anything at all. So I think like bringing the community together, like as a whole, like police and all that, so you could get an understanding of what you're trying to say or what you're trying to do, or just to get people used to seeing other faces like that you can see in the community. It shouldn't be like I gotta walk past you and you don't speak because you don't know me. You know what I mean? And we all live in the same area. We all go to the same schools. Our parents all know each other, but we don't really have an understanding of each other. I think like starting community events for especially for the youth to just get them from doing other things or get them to stay away from like getting into other stuff will help at first and then work our way up. It's like having more, I would say like black people speak in public schools because that's where most black kids go. Having more like motivational speakers speak in there and having like someone for the kids to relate to, because like if you can't relate to somebody, you really don't listen to them. So like I would start with the you first and then work our way up.
Ah, and that's something I say all the time. Like, people always talk about change and climate change and this and that. But if you really want to invoke change, you gotta work with the babies. You gotta work with kids. I was teacher before the pandemic, and let me tell you, being a teacher is not an easy thing to do. I'm trying to tell you, that thing is not easy. And first of all, they get paid way too little, way too little. My grandma, she was a secretary in education. I grew up around educators, so I get it. But it's a what keeps them going is the joy. It's the kids. I miss my kids every day. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to them. My sixth grade class, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye because of the pandemic. So I still think about it, pray for them all the time. But that's one of the main issues that we have to address because his thing too. You ever notice that new developers, make new school, make new houses, make new apartments, whatever have you? You ever notice that? And then you all do like, oh my god, all this stuff being built, all these houses, but still got the same raggedy school that everybody gonna be shipped to. And now you got 30 kids. No, this is no fun. In second grade class. But one of my teachers I was working with, she had 38 kids in her class to one teacher. So that's not going to work because people are not going to get the same attention. And then two, you talking about going back to school because of COVID. How can they go back to school? The classroom was so big. You gonna separate 38 kids in the classroom like that? I mean, that's crazy. It's things that we have to change in education, and it leads me to this. Imagine how great was your education system when you was growing up.
I went to a public school all the way up until eighth grade, and my school ended up like the public school I was going to ended up going like bankrupt. Like I don't know what
Okay.
happened. Like the money was like gone. So up until that point, like they had me in lower classes when I should have been in higher class. You know what I mean? Like I was above the
Right.
schedule, but they was worried about my. They told me my friend group is a reason that they didn't want to move me into a higher class. It's
Your
like
friend
you
group.
see you yes, like you see what I'm talking about. Like we're
What?
not focused on education, we're focusing on friends. Like my
Friend
friend group
group.
is still gonna be my friend group regardless. Like I'm still gonna see them, but I
Right.
need to be like where I need to be at to get where I want to be. But that wasn't what they were worried about. So in that case, I had to transfer in my schools going into my ninth grade year just because of stuff like that. And I also in public schools, like it's so easy to get distracted. Like you said, 40 people in the classroom. Like, how am I supposed to pay attention with 40 people in the classroom and one teacher? The teacher ain't looking, she turned her back to the board. Oh yeah, I could play around. It's too easy.
It is too easy. Chanel, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I actually wanted to ask Khalil a follow-up question.
Oh, go
So
ahead.
just the difference between public and I guess I'm assuming you went to private school at ninth grade. Like, did you notice any differences, and what differences did you notice?
Oh yeah. Number one, like I said, I was walking into an all white classroom. That was the number. I was the only black person, so like that was a big change, especially from a private public school. And then number two, they were really big on education. Like they wouldn't let you, and there was less people in the classroom, so like you could get like really one-on-one attention, and like they were really focused on trying to make you a better person in the classroom. So like I would say like the focus, the main points of a public school from a private school would definitely be the education. Like there's a difference between the two for sure.
Right. And I think that it all goes into funding, like depending on how the money's funded. Private schools are funded differently than public schools. So, that's just different in itself. The way that the money's allocated, the amount of resources you have is going to definitely be different. For me, I grew up in Prince George's County public schools. Like I went to private schools up until I think first grade, but that was about it. Um, After that, I was in public schools, and I mean, I had the experience of having all majority minority classes and stuff like that. Like I didn't have anybody who was white in our class. I think we had one white student at our elementary school, and that was basically about it. But the experience of education, I just noticed it was different because in high school and in elementary school, I was in programs, but in middle school, I wasn't in any type of program. I was just in my neighborhood school. And I just noticed the difference from being in an actual program and being essentially a regular student, being just going through the public school system. And I realized like there's little to no attention to really giving you education. It's more about policing students, making sure you're doing what's told of you, not really trying to give you that true education to actually teach you, because again, there's so many kids in the classroom. People are trying to maintain order. It's all about everybody be quiet. We're going to look at this boring lecture or something. It's not really focused on making sure that you understand the information. And then that goes into testing and all of that. But yeah, I definitely can say that it's different if you're going through public schools just regularly or if you're in a program. And then even if you have private schools, like it's definitely a different environment.
Right.
Chris, I know you had a little bit of both. Like, what's your
Yeah,
experience?
I went to public school from kindergarten to like sixth grade, and then in DC you had these programs where they'll pay for you to go to private school through this funding for like low rich kids, whatever have you. So I got lucky to go, and so let me tell you, so I went to Holy Redeemer in DC, and off on Northwest, off New Jersey Avenue, and it's shut down now. But let me tell you something. When I walked in there, uh, it it was a mixed group. It was. A lot of us were on the same program at that school, whatever have you. But the education quality, what they knew, I felt dumb. I was failing, and I wasn't a great student, but I knew like the basic. I knew like, I knew that I wasn't leaving elementary school. I knew I wasn't like a basic type of ranking for testing basic, whatever have you. But them kids were smart. Boy, they knew like the periodic table by hand. In seventh grade, they knew like they knew all that stuff, and I'm looking like, wow, like it took me, no, it took me like half the year just to catch up to them. Well, they was already gone, but to just get what that they were, I told mom all the time, I was like, wow, they're so advanced, and I felt some type of way going in there because I was like, I was raising my hand, I get embarrassed because I didn't know, and then me moving from there to another school in eighth grade because my seventh grade year the school shut down. Going to eighth grade, yeah, I moved to another school up U Street, and again that was predominantly black, but again, the educational level was out there. Stuff they was doing was top notch. And if I didn't go that seventh grade, I definitely would have made it in my eighth grade school. And so then when I went to Pilate out Laurel, which is predominantly Caucasian area, let me tell you something. I walked in there and I was again one of the only black people in the class. Black people around. But my class were my graduating class. They were more. It was more of a. Uh, it was more. I don't want to say segregated, but more. Not segregated, more integrated. Not segregated, integrated. And so it was kind of okay to versus some black people, but the whole school, man, it was straight. They had the paint on their eyes on homecoming. It was a wild time, but uh, it's a lot of things that a lot of people in public school don't get the opportunity to get, and especially same thing like one thing is the grades. I would have friends who would leave my high school, my private school in high school, and would go to public school, and they'd get straight A's. And these kids wasn't the smartest they are here right now, but it was it was so much easier. It was so much the grading scale was different. People didn't really, I'm not saying this personally. They told me this. They said it was easier. The grading scale really not that bad. They really don't. They care, but not really that much as they do at private school. So it's just a whole different dynamic that really changes from private and public school, which is crazy because if the government is being able to fund all these projects, all these renos, all this stuff going on infrastructure wise, you still have schools that don't have AC in them, they don't have heat, don't have up to date textbooks, but you can to give a developer over $50 million to go create something in the city. It's crazy. It's crazy how things are structured. And people always say they want change, they want to do this, they want to do that. But the main source of how we can change, I believe, is through education. And people should have to pay like all that money just to give their kids a solid education because they're working hard too. Parents shouldn't have to pay thousands of dollars a month just for their kid to have a quality education versus some kids like for some kids don't have it. Some kids don't have the luxury, so they don't have the ability to go to private school. So it's a domino effect for it. It really is. It really is. It's something we really want to change, and that's something, Khalil, we really want to do. We want to be able to get into the schools and help people teach our 10 academies. So basically, talk about education, talk about communication, communication, interpersonal communication, nonverbal cues. We want to get financial literacy. Classes that are not taught inside of the school. Because kids really need that. And eventually down the line, I want to get into doing like bring back the workshop, bring back the what's it called, cosmetology, nail, cutting hair, wood shop, all that stuff that get people with the hands. Because let me be honest with you, college not for everybody. It's okay, but if you don't set them up to give them a side hustle, or whatever have you, or give them a chance to make a business out of something, you just put them on the street at high school, and the cycle just goes over and over again. That's something that our generation didn't get experience. Our parents did, but we didn't get that chance to do, and that's something we got to bring back. All right. Oh man, y'all get into it. Okay, so let me ask you this: would you all say our education system is one of the main reasons why our communities are in such disarray?
You said is education the main reason?
Would you all say our education system is one of the main reasons why our communities are such in disarray?
Yeah, I think it's education. But I also think it's another thing like lack of resources.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, education is one of those resources, but I think it goes into us being able to have what we need. I mean, we talked about like not even having like groceries or not having a lot of grocery stores in Ward 7 and Ward 8, like just small things like that. I feel like it creates problems. It creates a lot of more work just for the community members in itself. So it's like I think it's definitely a layer and it's definitely systems of things, but education I think is definitely a big thing because if you don't know or if you don't step out, like kind of what Khalil was saying earlier, if you don't step out of what you're used to, what you have known growing up all this time, like your mindset won't change. I want to say like the biggest change for me was going to college and stepping away, getting out of my own environment that I'm used to. Like I said, I grew up in PG County. I had all blacks, basically all black classes, all of that. Then I went to Stevenson and I had a predominantly white, which is a predominantly white institution. And then I started looking at things a little differently. And I'm like, wow, like,
Goddamn
it's a
people
lot of,
ass, man.
yeah, it's a lot of different perspectives. I mean, and it's definitely a different shift that you have to kind of work through. And I think it was an experience for what it was. It wasn't as fun or whatever as the HBCU might have been. And then even like just having that education that HBCUs provide in terms of dealing with other people, but I can say that it taught me it gave me a different outlook on the world. So coming back home now, it's like, okay, I'm looking at things a lot differently. I'm focus on trying to make a business, trying to just grow myself a lot better in ways that wouldn't have been established if I just looked on how things are usually done within our community. So education, I think, is a big, big, big thing.
Absolutely. That's true. Khalil. Trying to get this thing off. Khalil.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
You want to respond? You good? Can you hear me?
Oh, hold on, it was lagging. My bad.
Oh no, you good.
But could you ask the question one more time though?
Oh no, no problem at all. So the question was, would you all say our education system is one of the main reasons why our communities are in such disarray?
I would say education does play a big part because think about when you're growing up, like you spend most of your time in school, like from the time like you wake up to like basically mid afternoon, you spend most of your time in school. So if the education or you don't like going to school and you're going to school just because like you have to, you know what I'm saying? Like education can have a negative effect on you as that way as well. And I also think like I know when I used to go to school, like my favorite thing about school was going on a field trip. Going on a field trip used to be the blast. Like, oh, I get to experience something new and I get to be outside of the classroom and still be able to learn. But I don't know about now, like the younger generation, I don't even think they talk about field trips
They
anymore.
don't. It's so much. It's
Yeah,
so much political stuff just going to the future nowadays. They can't even like.
that's what I'm
It's
saying. Like,
crazy.
if you don't have the opportunity to even experience a field trip, like at a young age, like even like I said, step out of that comfort zone, like step out of the classroom for a second and be able to learn and see what other people do for a living. Like, I don't know. I think the education does have a big piece, especially if you're there nonstop every day.
Right. Right. No, I didn't. Like my we had Mr. Allen on the podcast. He was talking. He was one about impactful people last week, and he told us like to set a field trip up. You gotta set it up like damn near 6 weeks in advance. So if it's something that you want to go see or whatever have you, that's 3 months out, whatever have you, you can't go see that, and it's crazy. Kids can't experience things. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know. That's absolutely crazy. We got a lot of stuff we need to look at and examine because it's really crippling our community in ways, you know.
Yeah, and another thing that I can say, I know our 10, we do Sunday scrubs. So we basically clean up our community and try and reduce the litter that we see. And Chris, I went past our last Sunday scrubs location and it's back, you know how it usually is. Back terrible, 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 terrible. So it's a whole lot of trash still accumulating. And another thing that I noticed was when I was around there, like all I saw was cop cars, ambulance, and just a whole bunch of noise. It was just a lot going on. And I'm like your environment, I feel like it determines kind of what goes on in that community. So if you're not taking care of your community, if you're just throwing trash on the floor, if you're not really treating your community like it's somewhere that should be treated like royalty. You know, if you go into a castle, a palace, anything like that, you're not seeing trash just on the floor. It's upkept, it's clean. So if your environment isn't clean, your mindset, your thinking won't be clean either. And I know that's something that we always talk about at hour 10. So I think that's a whole nother aspect as well on just our communities getting better and our communities actually taking care of ourselves and growing.
Yeah, that goes back to if Black Lives Matter or not. That goes back to that. I mean, people always say Black Lives Matter, but they don't want to put it in the work. They don't want to make sure their community clean. Like all we ask for people when we go clean the community. Like, look, we're not trying to be disrespectful nothing to y'all, but I'm tired of looking at this crap. I'm tired of walking around, kids walking around, seeing all the needles everywhere, trash. I don't like that, and I can't imagine what kids see that every day. See y'all hanging out in a corner, getting high all damn day. It's like, how do you expect us to move forward? But you care about Black Lives Matter, but you're willing to throw out your damn carry out and just leave it on the street like somebody gonna magic come pick it up. Stop being trifling and fucking lazy. At the end of the day, at some point, black people, you can't keep putting finger at everybody else. The finger will be pointing at you. I'm sorry. I'm Our tend not here to buttercup you. That's what's wrong with a lot of people inside there. They want to say, "Oh, Johnny, oh, this and that." No, it's something that we want to move past. We got to move past this era, but we can't move past it. We're not being transparent with one another. It's a lot of people got to step up and say enough is enough, and it's frustrating because we put work in that stuff. We be tired, my back hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what kills me a lot of times
when it's raining too.
I'm saying it's raining, it be cold. It's not like we not doing this for fun. It ain't for fun. I say all the time, we doing it because it needs to happen. We need to make a change. And if people don't want to make a change, then it's like, why are you screaming Black Lives Matter? It's only important to you when a cop kills somebody. That's when people want to get together. That's when people want to come together, kumbaya and all that stuff. But you don't want to stop somebody from littering your community. Because what that litter does is going back to broken window theory. We talk about this all the time. Broken window theory is basically, I don't know if you know Khalil, not broken window theory, but Rudy Giuliani, the Trump's lawyer, before he was Trump's lawyer, he was the mayor of New York City. And he had this great analysis of how people see communities. And basically saying that if you have a bunch of broken windows everywhere, bunch of trash everywhere, bunch of, drug dealers everywhere or signs put down, whatever, had like a bad community, bad things going to happen to that place. And it may not be the case, but because of what people see visually, is what people think they're going to get away with. It could be a great, outstanding community, it could be a bunch of lawyers, doctors, whatever have you living there. But if you see people that's, if a community look like crap, people are going to think, okay, it's okay for me to sell drugs out here. It's okay for me to leave abandoned car parts out here. It's okay for me to litter outside. It's okay, and it's not okay. And at some point, we have to change. I don't know what's it gonna come from, but I don't know. We only do so much. We tell people this is our time, not just people on this screen talking. You have to be the change. You have to step up and say, okay, enough's enough. So, we still gonna work. I'm still coming out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm still coming.
So I have a question. I'm kind of pulling from the list.
Go ahead.
With this, how do we motivate people to get involved and to create and change? Like, how can we get more people into this space of saying, like, I want to change my community and actually be that change? What do y'all think?
Ooh, I'll start. I think it starts with, all it takes is one person. Just like how it's everything about like the society we live in today is about a trend. Everything is about a trend. So if you are able to start a catchy trend of saying like, oh yeah, I'm about to change my community, we about to bring everybody together, have a group tournament, basketball or something like that, and get it trending, go live on Instagram, then people go, there's so many ways to reach people out here. It's crazy. And it only takes one little thing for somebody to see it. So all it takes is one person to step outside that box. You go live or something. Next thing you know, it go from just a one-day thing to a annual, yearly thing. So I really just think it takes one person just to step out that box. And then, especially in a college setting, like, I'm from Pittsburgh, somebody else is from Baltimore. Oh, I want to do this here. You want to do this there? Okay, let me come there, help you. You come here, help me. Somebody else see it. Oh, I'm going to take this there. They help them. Then there you go. I really just think it takes one person. And not just being scared, like scared that it's going to fail, because people actually want to do this stuff, but like just be scared.
Yeah,
Right.
that's very true. And it looks intimidating. Like, people are like, what? How were y'all able to start up an organization? How were you able to just do all that? We just did it. Literally, we just started. That's all it takes, is taking that first step to say, or not even just taking the first step, but committing to it. Saying like, all right, I want to make a difference. I want to make a change, and I'm going to do it. And literally just going out there and doing it. But I like what you said about connecting with like other people, because like the person right next to you may have that answer that you're looking for. So you may be like, well, where do I start? How do I get in contact with the people in my neighborhood? Or, who can I talk to about X, Y, and Z? That person next to you who you didn't even think to talk to, or you didn't even think to spark that conversation with, may have that answer for you. So just being, again, not afraid to just step out of your box and just talk to more people and really get to the essence of what community is. Because I think, again, like communities within, battery's about to die. But our communities are definitely just separated. Like we don't have those events, like you said. We don't have that sense of community. And it's different depending on which area you're in, of course. But like be that neighbor that actually goes out and says, yo, check on your older neighbors, check on your neighbors that's like down the street. Just make sure everyone's good, because when we have that sense of community, it's like no one can come in and break it. No one can come in and try and gentrify your area, especially if the community is staying strong within themselves. Like there's no way someone can try and come in and do that. And I think that's something that we had at one point with the Black Wall Streets and all of that stuff. We stood together as a community and said, look, you're not coming, no one's coming in here and messing up what we have, because we created this together. And I think that togetherness is the most important part.
Absolutely. You know, Trinell, you said it. You said it with a T. You know, and I think to lead on to this question, you know, going into where's it at? How do you think our ancestors made their choice to promote change within our people at that time? And you said, Chanel, they just stood up. Somebody stood up, made a change. You know, people said that, you know, I don't want to be a slave no more. You know, of course, people back then was probably like, girl, you better stop playing. You know, of course, they were fearful. They were fearful. Every leader, everybody has a fear. Don't get it messed up. Everybody has fears. Everybody has things that they're not comfortable with. But it's like you said, taking that first step and realizing that, okay, we have an issue, and like Khalil said, let's change it. Let's work together. Maybe you can help me here, and I can help you here. We can get it done in Pittsburgh, then we can go to Baltimore. Go to Baltimore, then we go to DC. Go to DC, then go to Philly. Go to Philly, then go to California. Go to California, and just go where you're needed and work together. It's not about, and that's a lot of things I like to really and really. We reach out a lot to different organizations, Khalil, and a lot of times they don't want to. And I'm not saying all of them. There's a lot of organizations out there that just want to work with themselves. They don't want to work with others. They don't want to collaborate. They don't want to come together. And that's something that disheartens me because, you know, yes, you have good resources and you're probably doing a great job with the organization. I'm not trying to bash any organization. There's a lot of great organizations out here. But maybe, you know, if we came together and we did a project something together, it can benefit us both and help not benefit us, but help benefit people we serve. You know, we're doing this to help people. We're not doing this to make a public, you know, statement, make us look good, whatever have you. This is because we see an issue and we want to create change. You know, and sometimes people egos get in that way of it. You know, your ego gotta be out the door. Egos, it's not about you. It's about the people you say that you want to help out. So it's I would say, you know, it's like Trina says about just take one step at a time each day, having a team around you, like-minded people, and just attacking each day. That's what I would say. That's you know, I don't. That's what I would say. All right, so let's dive a little deeper. All right, most people idolize rappers and athletes. Is that a good or bad thing for our community, Khalil?
Um,
Yeah, we diving deep, bro. We gonna dive,
man.
dive deep.
I'm going to say it. It could be a positive or a negative.
Right.
I'm gonna say that because I know if you were to go to a school right now and ask, I don't know, let's say 10 males, like what you want to be when you grow up, they're gonna say either I want to be an athlete or they want to be a rapper. And why is that? That's because they make the most money, of course. So do I knock that? No, because you're trying to put yourself in a better situation. But what I do knock is you're missing the aspect of how they got there, right? Let's take LeBron James for example. LeBron James was an amazing athlete, and he was able to get out of high school and go straight to the NBA. Now you cannot do that. You must go through college at least 1 year before you go to the NBA. And then for
Right.
football, you have to be there at least 3 years before you go to the NFL. So everyone says they're big on the athlete part of it, but they miss the school aspect of it too. Like these athletes are not just going from straight to high school to the league. So and then the rapper part, that's tough too because there are some positive rappers out here that
There
speak
are.
about
There are a
positive
lot of good
things.
ones. Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of rappers that speak about positive things, but there's a lot of rappers that also speak about negative things. Like for example, Two Chains has 3 degrees, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And you would not know that because he doesn't rap like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Lil
like,
Wayne got a degree in college. He went to college.
like people miss that part. He
Right.
became a rapper, but he also got his degrees. So
Right.
like I think like it's a good and a bad thing. It just depends on the rappers you're looking up to and the athletes you're looking up to. Because not every athlete or every rapper is a good role model.
Right. And then sometimes we try to, I think sometimes in the community we try to force them to be role models. We try to force them to be the highlight person. But again, everybody isn't that role model. Some people don't want that role. Some people don't, they just want to be the athlete. They just want to be the rapper, which is cool because I learned something a long time ago. You can't judge people in their capacities. Everybody has different capacities in life. So if that's what they want to do, cool. But a lot of times, like you said, it's a good and a bad thing, with athletes and rappers. But it's hard because a lot of times, that's the only, especially for young males, that's the only male they see sometimes is in the videos. And they want to emulate that male. They want to emulate what they see on that rap show. They want to emulate what they say, what they do. And a lot of times it's not mm, again, I'm not trying to bash it. I'm not trying to bash anybody art, I'm not trying to do none of that. But it really hinders our community from them watching them, from them seeing them on these videos. It just, I don't know. I think we have to. Well, look, I listen to all that stuff. It ain't. I listen to everything, but it's like it's how kids can interpret things too. That's a big thing. They can interpret something like, okay, it's cool to kill somebody. It's cool to have all these guns. It's cool to be smoking perks. It's cool to be smoking codeine. I mean, drinking codeine. It's cool to, do all this stuff where it's not. I've seen people that's been high as hell, that's been coked out, that's been leaning down, looking all crazy. That's not a good sight. That's not a good sight at all. So it's I don't know. It's some things that we really got to evaluate. Trinette, what you think?
No, I agree. I agree with you all. Like, it definitely idolizing rappers is difficult because again, you have to listen to what they're saying and realizing that what they're speaking sometimes and what they're you know is saying, what they're saying is truth is not really true even for them. So like people, a lot of rappers are just rapping about a lot of different stuff that they can't even relate to. So when kids hear it, then they're like, oh, well, this is what it is. This is what it should be. This is, essentially this is the way to live. And then they start trying to move that way within their own community, start idolizing and seeking like um I guess really just idolizing like having material things. And so they try and get all just basically stuff that doesn't even really help with growing them as a person. No one's rapping about school being it being cool to go to school. Nobody's rapping about it being cool to have an education. Cause I mean, then again, like I'm not even sure people will really be rapping about that or singing about that. Like I can't even imagine a time where we're in the club and someone's talking about some, yeah, get educated, get educated. Like that's just it's not even realistic for me. But it's also just understanding that rappers lifestyle and things like that a lot of times is not realistic, and to find those community figures or influential figures within just closer to you that's actually realistic, I feel like that's a better mentor, a better person to go with rather than a rapper. I think athletes are a little different because I mean sports are great. You can definitely make it with sports and stuff, but again, it doesn't happen for everybody.
Not
It's a slim,
good.
yeah,
Not
it's a
everybody
very
makes
slim
it.
chance. So I don't know.
Not
I
everybody
think
makes
it's
it. Right?
yeah.
No. And I'm gonna be real with you. Me going to, not saying not me going to D2 school. Not saying it wasn't possible for me to go, but you have to be realistic with yourself. You have to understand that I went to school primarily if I can pay for school. I played football if I could pay for school. I did that, help me go to college, whatever. And because my coach told me this great thing one time. At first, I was like, "Why is he saying this?" To is our senior banquet? He said, "Don't let football use you, or whatever sports you play, whatever have you. Don't let football use you. Use it to get you where you got to go." And it was like, wow. It was like, and I started to realize that I started to see people from me like, okay, they would be top recruits, whatever have you, and then they get hurt, and then they get just they you never hear from them again. You know what I'm saying? Like I know you probably experienced that a lot. You know, your friends, whatever have you, or people you heard of or know about, you know, they were top athletes or whatever have you, and they got hurt or they did something stupid or you know the grades wasn't right, and then they were gone. And you don't hear about them anymore. You know, and a lot of times they're stuck because they're so focused on just getting NFL. They didn't worry about school. They didn't worry about you know finding stuff they like to do because all they was focused on was getting to play a sport. You know, besides not using it to your advantage, without using it to where you got to go. And so it's difficult. It really is. Clear, you got something else to say about that?
Like you said, don't let the sport use you. Use the sport. Like I said, I'm big on connections now. Like the people come from all over to play football. Everybody's from all different areas. So like the amount of connections from a football or basketball, or even if you want to go into rap, just being in the music industry, like the amount of people that you can meet is like crazy. And all you got to do is just talk to somebody. You say one thing, they pick it up, and the next thing you know, you somewhere else. But I definitely think like yeah, have as an athlete or anything, you should always have a plan B, because just banking on one thing is how you go bankrupt. Number one, but yeah, I just think you should definitely try to branch out and do something you like to do outside of your sport. Because one day, even if you do make it to the league, you're going to eventually be done playing. You can't play for forever. So what do you like? What do you like to do outside of your sport? And that's a big question. Like if you had to play sports all your life and you never got a chance to actually step out and experience anything different, how you gonna know what you like to do? It's kind of difficult. So I say you start trying to find what you like to do while you're playing your sport, just in case, you know.
Right. That's true. You don't want to get inside that bubble, and then it's like, oh wow, what am I doing? Oh wow, I'm going. So yeah, bro. All right, we got like, a couple more questions. We're gonna wrap it up. All right. So here we go. Do you all think it's possible, or is it going to stay this? Do you think it's possible we can create change, or is it going to stay the same? For example, with the killings in our community, with the bad school systems, lack of equity in the community, lack of black business, etc. Do y'all see a change, or do you think we it's going to be a stagnant? It's just going to not change at all. I think it'll be a change, but
Yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely gonna be a change. Like it's definitely going to be a change. There's so many just people are getting invested into business. So many people I think of our generation are starting to like kind of wake up and say we got to switch from this generational curse, generational trauma, whatever it is, to really just give back to the community, change our community, and really be advocates for making sure we have resources. So I definitely think it's going to be a change. I'm pretty certain of that. In our 10, we're going to make sure that happens. All right.
ready.
Me, I definitely think change is gonna happen for sure. We just got to be willing to be open to it, because change can be hard to But I think if we're open to it and we're willing to put in the work for change, I believe it can happen. But if we want
Right.
to keep being stubborn and being hard headed, we're gonna be at the same place that we were, or even lower. And then nobody wants to be lower than what they were. So I think it's gonna start with baby steps at first, though, little
Right.
things,
Absolutely.
and then work your way up to the bigger things. So I think if we're open to working and accepting there's going to be a process, like this is not going to be overnight, oh yeah, then we're going to be good. But if we want something instant and right now, I mean, it's not going to happen like that.
Right. No, I feel that. And then going back to Janelle was saying about our generation, Gen Z, we and Janelle on top of that. We're 23 and we're at the peak of that, and I believe our generation is a generation that's like seeing things. We're woke. We understand that, we understand the lackness of the millennials kind of sorta. And we also understand the fight that was in our grandparents' era. We understand like, okay, they did this, the millennials did this. So let us do something different. It was this video on Instagram, Facebook a long time ago, and it was these three guys, and the older gentleman, he was probably the grandfather or great uncle, whatever have you, and it was like probably his brother, somebody close to his age, and it was like probably his son, and then the little boy. and he basically saying that, the guy was saying we messed up, you know, he messed up, his generation messed up. It's up to your generation to make the change. It's up to y'all to do something different, and I think that's something that our generation really is going to embody coming into this new year when we become, in our getting to our 30s, we're really going to be that influential community, influential generation is going to create positive change. And one thing about that too, think clear what you're doing with your videos. I don't know if you had time to look at it, but wow, just your story and just what you're doing is an example of that. You don't have to be older, like 25 plus or whatever have you, to invoke change. You don't have to be, a well-established person. You don't have to have a 45 company to invoke difference in your community. And that's something that I see in what you're doing, Khalil, and what we're doing, and it's inspiring. And I hope people really understand, see that you don't have to be old. You don't have to be, and you can invoke change whenever, but it's up to you. Like you said, it's up to what you want to do.
And like it was said earlier in the call, I don't know who said it, but like you just gotta stand up and do it. Like one day I woke up and I said, like, I gotta start using my voice for the betterment, like just to make myself feel better. And I see what my voice was able to do for other people. So for me not to use it, I'm doing a disservice to everyone. So if I can wake up and make a 30-second video and it make your day 10 times better, I'll do a 30-second video every day. But like it's just like stuff like that. Especially because like I'm younger, right? So me having an opportunity just to be on this call and speaking stuff like that, this is crazy to me. Like you said, you know some stuff that I don't know. Now you pass it down to me. Now I can pass it down to somebody else that they don't know. Like, and doing that is how we're gonna better and invoke change. Like you passing it down to me, I'm passing it down to somebody else. They pass it down to somebody else. Like all you need is one person, like I said before. So if I could be that one person, then that's cool. And then I could pass it down to be somebody else, so they could be that one person. That's cool too.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with all of that.
Sorry, my thing was trying to work, but Khalil, you hit it hit the nail right on the head, man. You're younger than us, but you're making an impact, and like you said, it just takes that little time out your day. If you can take that little bit of time out your day to dedicate yourself to, okay, I'm going to do this, it can happen, but it's going to take that little initiative. It's going to take the little sacrifice. Trinell, Nia, and I, we're on the phone sometimes at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning doing work. Trinell works a full-time job. She has her own business as well. I'm having my own business and I'm doing things also. And Nia had working 2 jobs. So, but we still find a way to do it. You still got to find that time if you really want something to change, if you really want something to be better, you got to invest in it. You have to put the work in. It's going to be times when your head hurts, you're tired, you're frustrated, but it's all about the process. Success, I don't know if you know Coach Bullet or not, but I was coaching with Coach Bullet my senior year. I was doing student coaching. And one thing she always close out with, I hope she still close out with, is that success is in the struggle, trust the process. Success is in the struggle, trust the process. And that's something that always resonated with me. And I'm glad I'm able to talk about it because it's true. Success is in the crying, it's in the downfall, it's in you not understanding what might happen, it's in you not understanding tomorrow. But if you have faith in God, you don't, and you walk with Him, and if you just keep pushing and keep going, you can do wonderful things. Wonderful things. All right, where we at? Okay, then we got this last two. All right, what does our government need to do, both state and federal, to help us improve our communities? Any of y'all can go. Janelle.
Um, I think it definitely goes into budgets, making sure that our taxes are being spent how they need to be spent. Um, we need to have laws in place, policies, laws, regulations, all of that good stuff to make sure that we are able to basically that we're protected. Everyone's getting the rights that they deserve, that they need, that they deserve. Um, and yeah, state and federal.
Yeah, state. Well, both, I guess. state and federal, yeah.
But yeah, just making sure that the community has resources, making sure the community has resources, and protecting the citizens of the actual of the community. Again, we need to stop having the killings and stuff. I know that's just it's a part of it, but just being protected in that way, and having some type of representation where someone that's sitting on the board is actually fighting for our community, not just the other part of America. Because again, America's, it's a lot of moving parts. So making sure that we have someone that's actually speaking for us and really for the better of our community. That's my opinion. What y'all think?
Yeah, I'm not really big on the government side of things, but I just say like I just say like just showing their face in the community. Like for example, I don't know who my like government official is or anything like that. Like just showing your face in the community. Like how could you say I'm speaking for these people, but you don't know what the people are actually saying? You know what I mean? Or the people don't know who you are. I shouldn't have to Google you to know who you are. Like I just think like if they show their face and try to get a real understanding of what the community is in need of or where the community is coming from, it will help better like the situation also, because then they can speak from the heart with what they're saying and not just from a piece of paper or a spreadsheet based off some facts. So,
Khalil, you hit it right. You again, you spitting it, bro. It's like because only time you know what people do election time. You see the flyers everywhere. You see, banners everywhere, and it's like, who the hell are you? But they've been working. They've been representing you for about 20 years now. For real? Like it's like we don't know you. And you need to get like people that they want to stay in the state capital wherever they work at. But like you said, you gotta be visual. You got if you don't, you may have an idea of what the problems are being out there, but you don't know the issues. You don't know what the people are facing. You don't know if they need extra assistance. You don't know what areas they need help if you don't actually know the people. You don't know this community. It's a difference between having an idea and actually knowing. That's a big thing that our government officials really need to really, really, really needs to work on as an institution. So look, I think I think we're I think we're done for real. I really do think we're done. So first of all, Khalil, I know it's early. I appreciate you waking up with us and early this morning and being with us and taking your time out your day. I know you probably was partying last night, whatever have you. I just look. I call Slink. I call Slink. He's my cousin. I go to his school, and he was like, "Bro, I'm down bad. I can't get on the call." So, so I understand. I get it. The next day is like, oh, let me get my stuff together for Monday. So, but I do appreciate you coming on the show. I do appreciate taking your time out your morning, and I hope that we can work with each other in the future doing any type of community events. We do. We have done work in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Um, and we have no problem coming to Pittsburgh or coming nearby. So
come to the city. Come to the city.
hey man, just let us know. Like we need to coordinate with local government, local people, activists in the community, man. That's no problem with us. We can come down and help out whatever way we can.
Cool, because I got some ideas.
Bring them? Bring them. Text me
Thank
my
you.
number. Text me.
I
Text
got
me.
some ideas for
Send them
sure.
to the talk to the DM us, whatever you want to do, bro. You got our information. You contact us. You can say, Chris, hey Chris, I want to do this. I want to do this fundraiser. We'll do that. Let's go. It's whatever. Let's get it done, man. So I appreciate y'all. Chanel, as always, much love for you. And y'all watching this, watch it. Hope you learn something. Hope you get informed. I hope you teach somebody something. And let's be the change together, y'all. Our time is now. Get with it.